Formula One is defined by its speed but held together by control. Each lap pushes the edge of physics, and every move happens in inches. With so much at play, the difference between a fair race and a dangerous one often comes down to how quickly the sport can respond when things go wrong. Whether it's a crash, debris on track, heavy rain, or even a technical issue, Formula One handles unforeseen challenges in a structured, immediate, and non-negotiable manner. Notably, that control comes through systems like marshals, lights, and radio. However, nothing commands attention like flags and safety car procedures. In fact, flags are the oldest tool in Formula One. They control pace, signal danger, guide behavior, and settle confusion. But when a flag isn't enough, a safety car, and more recently, the virtual safety car, work as a response to situations. Every Formula One driver sees the same things during a race: a green light, a yellow panel, and a waving flag from a marshal at the side of the track. While the car can fly 300 kilometers an hour, it is expected to respond instantly. Starting with the green flag, it's perhaps the easiest to understand. That said, it simply means that the track is clear and normal racing conditions have resumed. It usually follows a warning zone, a safety car period, or the end of a warm-up lap. Once it's shown, every driver knows they're free to fight. Next, a yellow flag typically means a warning, but not all warnings are the same. A single yellow flag warns of danger ahead. It could be a car spun off, gravel on the racing line, or marshals near the edge of the circuit. In a single yellow zone, overtaking is not allowed, and drivers are expected to slow slightly. If a driver gains a position under yellow, they're often required to give it back immediately or risk a post-race penalty. On the other end of the incident scale, double yellow flags are more serious. They mean there is a danger. In such scenarios, a car may be stopped in the middle of the track, or a marshal could be working on foot. Under double yellows, drivers must reduce speed significantly and be prepared to stop altogether. If the telemetry doesn't show a meaningful lift in throttle, the penalty is automatic. F1 never takes risks when people are on track. Speaking of red flags, they stop everything. When one is waved, the race or session is suspended. All drivers return to the pit lane, and no overtaking is permitted during the slowdown. The red flag is only used when the track is no longer safe to race. That might be due to severe weather, a crash that blocks the circuit, or infrastructure damage, like barrier failure or safety vehicle deployment. Teams are allowed to work on the cars in limited ways during a red flag suspension, and the race clock pauses if the regulations permit. The blue flag, however, is different. It has nothing to do with danger. All it conveys is discipline. That said, it's shown to cars that are about to be lapped. When a driver sees blue, they must let the faster car behind them pass within a few corners. If they don't, the F1 people intervene. And remember, it's not a judgment call. Blue flags exist to prevent interference between cars fighting for position and those simply trying to finish the race. Then there are checkered flags that signal the end. Once the checkered flag is shown, the order across the finish line becomes final, subject to investigation, but not to further racing. Any overtaking that happens after the line isn't counted, and no laps continue beyond it. In Formula One, the checkered flag closes the race with finality. There are other flags too, less common, but just as binding. For example, a black flag means disqualification. In those cases, the driver is ordered back to the garage and removed from the race. It's used sparingly, usually for ignoring repeated warnings or serious breaches of conduct. The black and orange flag, often called the meatball, signals a technical problem. It tells a driver that their car has a mechanical issue like loose bodywork, smoke, or fluid loss. Hence, they must pit immediately to fix it or be pulled off track. The white flag, although rare in Formula One, means there's a slow-moving vehicle ahead. It could be a recovery vehicle, a medical car, or a car limping back to the pits. Drivers are expected to be careful, but the rules don't change unless the white flag is combined with other signals. So, overall, this entire system of flags exists to maintain a baseline of understanding between the cars on track and the officials off it. However, not every situation can be managed with visuals alone. In such scenarios, the pace needs to be controlled in real time. That's when F1 deploys a safety car. It says the track is still usable, but conditions are too dangerous for full-speed racing. It's a physical car, either a Mercedes-AMG GT Black Series or an Aston Martin Vantage, driven by a professional under instruction from race control. Once they deploy the safety car, it picks up the race leader. At that time, all other cars form a line behind and no overtaking is permitted. Drivers are expected to maintain tire temperature and follow the designated safety car line. Pit stops are allowed during the period unless the pit lane is closed due to obstruction or incident management. Lapped cars may be allowed to unlap themselves depending on the directive given by the race director. That decision shapes the restart. That call decides if the leaders get clean air or have to fight through lapped traffic. Once the track is clear, the safety car pulls in. From there, the lead car sets the pace, using only instinct and timing to restart the race. Racing continues the moment the green flag waves. Notably, the safety car doesn't neutralize the race, but reshapes it. Strategy, timing, and tire wear all change when those laps tick down under controlled speed. The risk is reduced indeed, but the apprehension still lingers. Sometimes, though, even that response is too much. The race doesn't need to slow to a crawl, nor does it need a restart. It calls for a moment of control without changing everything around it, and that's where the next layer comes in. The Virtual Safety Car, or VSC, was introduced in 2015. Put simply, it slows the race down but doesn't change much of it. When full neutralization looks too much to warrant, and yellow flags don't go far enough, race control calls a VSC. Every driver gets a target pace, a sector-wise delta they have to stick to. There's no bunching or restart. The gaps stay exactly where they are. Drivers don't get warnings, and if they beat the delta, it shows up in the data and the penalty follows. There's nothing to follow on track. The entire system runs through the dash and the telemetry, which is quiet, strict, and hard to cheat. Generally, VSC conditions are used for removing minor debris, recovering a single car from a runoff area, or allowing marshals to briefly enter a low-risk zone. The main advantage of VSC is stability. It activates control without turning the race into a restart scenario. The gaps stay intact, the running order holds, and the focus remains on clearing the problem. This side of Formula One people never come to watch, but it holds everything together. Every flag, every call from race control, and every neutralization, it's there to keep the race safe and the result fair. It doesn't matter if you're leading by 10 seconds or fighting at the back, the system treats everyone the same. And in a sport where everything can change in just a lap, that consistency matters. If this helped make sense of what you've seen on race weekends, there's more coming. Cytrus F1 breaks down the things that don't always make the highlights, but still decide how races are won. Stick around and subscribe. See you soon on the next video.